All right, well, from one market to another, the U.S. housing market, especially in some of the country's hottest cities, is showing some signs of slowing. According to new data from housing site Trulia, not only did the number of homes on the market hold steady for the first quarter in nearly 3 years, but homes are also staying on the market for longer. The median number of days homes have stayed listed is up 1.5% so far this year. So here to break down the latest survey and the state of the U.S. housing market is Yahoo Finance editor Amanda Fung. Welcome, Amanda. I want to ask you first, though, what are you hearing from realtors when we digest these numbers? Because obviously that might mark a shift from being a seller's market to more of a buyer's market if these homes are staying on the market for longer.
Right, so as you mentioned, the interesting point is inventory, or the number of homes for sale, has been flat, and this is the first time in almost 3 years. But what's interesting is the number of new listings, so new homes for sale, has actually dropped 6.9%. So that means the inventory that's on the market are homes that have been sitting there for quite a while, which means buyers just aren't grabbing them and not taking when it comes to buying a home.
But when we talk about the housing market, we have to talk about regional differences, right? So what did this Trulia study find when it comes to the hot housing markets, typically the coastal ones versus the middle of the country? Is there at all a difference?
Right, so what we're seeing in the inventory numbers is it's the West Coast cities like Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco, where we're seeing homes just sit on the market longer than they typically would. For instance, Seattle, where home prices have just been skyrocketing. Yeah. It wasn't up until last year where we started to see a slowdown in the growth that homes started to move. But in that case, homes are just sitting there longer.
I'm glad you mentioned Seattle, though, because my aunt is a realtor up there, and it was noticeable.
Deep plug.
She's a great realtor.
Guzman.
But no, when we look at these numbers, it's a noted shift higher. It was some 50 number of days for houses there, up to about 60. When you look at that, though, obviously, I'm not sure anyone's panicking at these numbers because it's still a relatively strong housing market, but it marks a shift, right? And that's kind of what they're saying, is that this could be the start of maybe a downside in housing.
Right, so remember, if homes are on the market longer, that means, buyers just they're saying, hold on, I don't want to pay this price for this house. So in that case, sellers kind of have to reset and say, wait a second, maybe I need to step back and reprice. Yeah. So what we may eventually, and what some brokers are saying, is probably later this year, we're going to see an easing of home prices. So that will hopefully, revamp activity, and we're going to start seeing some of these homes move.
So the price aside, though, what's leading to the hesitation on the buyer side? Is it about uncertainty around rates? Is it about the uncertainty about the broader outlook in general? What are you finding on that front?
Yeah, so, while mortgage interest rates are low, it still takes a while psychologically to think, oh, maybe it's time to pull the trigger. Or some buyers may actually think, oh, prices should go down even more, or they're waiting for prices to plummet. That said, we have good employment data, there's economic growth, so that may actually push buyers to try to change their mind.
Yeah, not so much of a rush anymore in buying these houses if they're going to sit there for a little bit longer.
But now might be the good time.
Yeah.
Or to your point, if we see continued lowering of prices, but it's just like trying to time the market, right? You can keep saying that, and then in a couple years, the prices will start to go up again, or there's no way to predict that entirely.
Right. One interesting data point I heard was from brokerage Redfin, where they said they work mainly with buyers on the West Coast. They said for the first time, they are seeing buyers actually close on a home that they put their first bid on.
Wow.
Which is unusual because there was this frenzy where there were multiple bidders on a home, bidding wars, which drove up the prices. So that's another indication that maybe we're starting to see some
things cooling.
Fascinating.
Amanda Fung, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.